Okay, is it okay to start?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So it's a pleasure to have Professor Osamu Fujino as our speaker tonight. Well, our tonight. Osaka.
Yes.
The topic of his talk is external contraction of log canonical pairs.
Okay. First of all, I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity. Today, I'd like to talk about extremal contractions of log canonical pairs. Okay. Okay. Let's explain today's main result. Okay. In theorem 1, let x delta be a log canonical pair, and everything is defined over C in this talk. And pi x to S is a projective morphism onto a variety S. In this case, we have already known that Kohn and contraction theorem holds for x delta. So we can take kx plus delta negative extremal ray of the Klein-Marmolin cone. This is a extremal ray, and we can consider extremal contraction phi r because Kohn and contraction theorem holds for log canonical pair. And we put D. D is the minimum of the dimension of E, and E runs over positive dimensional irreducible component of any fiber. So pictures like this. X delta is like.
Excuse me.
Hi.
Can I ask a question in between? So you assume that X is a projective variety, or could it be a non-projective variety that just has a projective morphism?
Yes. X is not necessarily projective. Only assume X is projective over S.
Okay, thank you.
And so we consider relative Klein-Marmolin cone. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it could be like a complex space that is not quasi-projective or nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. And the picture is like this. X delta is a given one, and phi r is a contraction morphism. And in this picture, phi r is birational contraction, but in theorem 1, phi r is not necessarily birational, any extremal contraction. And E is a positive dimensional fiber, okay? And so D is a minimum of dimension E. Then R is this one. R is spanned by a possibly singular rational curve with the following estimate, okay? And this means minus k dot L is less than or equal to 2 times D. D is this one, okay? And of course, D is less than or equal to dimension X. So we have this estimate, okay? And I have already explained Kohn and contraction theorem hold for log canonical pairs. The classical standard textbook, like Collar-Mori, only treat Kohn and contraction theorem for log terminal pairs, but now everything is okay for log canonical pairs. And in theorem 1, if X delta is KLT, I will explain KLT and log canonical next. But anyway, if in theorem 1, if X delta is KLT, then theorem 1 is well known. This was first proved by Kawamata's theorem. Okay. And final remark is this one. This estimate, length of extremal rational curve is bounded by universal constant, only depends on dimension X, plays an important role in the minimal model program with scaling. Okay. So this result, I think this result is an important one. Okay. Let us recall the definition of log canonical pairs and KLT pairs. In definition 2, X is a normal variety, and in this talk, everything is defined over C, and delta is an effective R divisor on X, such that Kx plus delta is R Cartier, this is a standard setting. Yeah. And let f y to x be a resolution with yeah, the y to x is a resolution, and we define delta y by this formula. Push forward of delta y equal delta, and ky is a canonical divisor of y, ky plus delta y equal pullback of f, kx plus delta. And then if the quotient of delta y is less than or equal to less than or equal to 1, then x delta is called a log canonical pair, okay? And sometimes used to LC to denote log canonical, okay? And if the quotient of delta y is less than 1 for any resolution, then x delta is called a Kawamata log terminal pair, and you usually use KLT, okay? So the difference between the definition of LC and KLT is very small. Yeah, this is the only difference, less than or equal to 1 or less than 1. But there are many differences between log canonical pairs and KLT pairs. So theorem 1 is not so obvious. Kawamata proved theorem 1 for Kawamata log terminal pair, but his proof does not work for theorem 1. Yeah, we treat log canonical pairs. Okay. And I need one more important definition, log canonical center. Okay. Okay, let x be a normal variety and delta is an effective R divisor on x, such that kx plus delta is a R quality divisor. This is the standard setting, as usual. And in this case, a closed subset C is a log canonical center of x delta. This is a definition. X delta is log canonical in a neighborhood of the generic point of C. So picture is like this, and pair x delta is log canonical in a neighborhood of the generic point of C, and there exists a resolution and prime divisor f on y such that the discrepancy coefficient of f with respect to x delta is equal -1, and the image of f equals C. Okay. And the discrepancy means, this one. Discrepancy coefficient equal minus the coefficient of f in delta y. Okay, delta y is this one. Delta y equal. Okay. And C is the log canonical center. So the target of the prime divisor whose discrepancy is -1. This is a definition of log canonical center. Okay. And the following example is a most important example. X is a smooth variety and delta is a simple normal crossing divisor on X. And this is a irreducible decomposition of delta. So picture like this. X is a smooth variety, and simple normal delta is a simple normal crossing divisor. So each component is smooth and intersect transversally. Then the pair x delta is log canonical, but not KLT. Okay. In the C is a log canonical center of x delta if and only if C is an irreducible component of intersection of some components delta 1 I1 delta IK. Okay, so in this picture, LC center is delta 1 and delta 2 and delta 1 intersection delta 2. These log canonical center. And we can easily check these log canonical centers by taking blow up of this point and and so on. Okay. And I make a remark. Kamath proved theorem 1 for KLT pairs. Okay, and his proof uses relative Kamath feedback vanishing theorem for projective bimeromorphic morphism between complex analytic spaces. Yeah, his proof is not algebraic. Yeah, he shrink the target space and consider bimeromorphic morphism between complex analytic space and apply Kamath feedback vanishing theorem for analytic spaces. And he proved theorem 1. Unfortunately, Kamath feedback vanishing theorem does not hold for log canonical pairs, and the log canonical pair is much more difficult than KLT pair. So we cannot apply Kamath's approach to theorem 1. Okay, so we need some new ideas to prove theorem 1 for log canonical pairs. Okay. 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 The main ingredient of theorem 1 is the following adjunction formula for log canonical center, and yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is a key. This is a key ingredient. Okay, lemma 6 says, let x delta be a log canonical pair, and phi x to w is a projective morphism. Yeah, of course, I would like to apply lemma 6 to theorem 1. So phi is a extremal contraction. Yeah, and P is an arbitrarily closed point of W. And E is any positive dimensional irreducible component of fiber. Okay, and E bar to E is a normalization. In general, E is not normal. Then, for any ample R divisor H on E bar, okay, E bar is projective because phi is a projective morphism and E is in a fiber. Okay, so for any ample R divisor H on E bar, we can take an effective R divisor delta, which depends on E bar, such that the pullback of Kx plus delta by this normalization morphism plus H is R linearly equivalent to this is a canonical divisor of E bar, and this is an effective divisor. Okay, this is an important adjunction formula. Okay, so picture is like this. X to W is a projective morphism. This is a projective morphism. And P is a point, and E is a irreducible component of this fiber. And in general, E is highly singular, not necessarily normal. So we take the normalization. This is a normalization. Then we obtain this formula. Okay, Kx plus delta pullback, new pullback plus H. H is ample divisor, any ample R divisor. Then this is a Ke canonical divisor of E bar plus something. Okay, but by this formula, we get this one. We get this one. A is any phi ample line bundle on X. Then we have this inequality of intersection numbers. A is a relatively ample line bundle times dimension -1 dot Kx plus delta. This is a R-Calte divisor. and intersection E. Okay, so this is R. Okay, and this is a canonical divisor of E bar, and this is a pullback of relatively ample line bundle. Okay, we get this inequality. Okay, so this inequality easily follows from this one. So key point is this formula. Okay. Once we establish lemma 6, okay, it is not difficult to prove theorem 1. Okay. From lemma 6 to theorem 1, this part is essentially the same as Kawamata's proof. Okay. So Kawamata proved didn't prove a junction formula. He directly proved this type of inequality. Okay. Yeah. Kawamata directly proved this type of inequality by using relative Kawamata feedback vanishing theorem. But our approach is different. First, we establish this type of a junction formula. Then we get this type of inequality. Okay. Anyway, if we establish this type of inequality, we can prove theorem 1 without any difficulty. Okay. So from theorem lemma 6 to theorem 1 is more or less well known to the expert. Okay. So let's explain the proof of theorem 1, assuming lemma 6. Okay. Theorem 1 is this one. Okay. Let us recall the situation. Phi r x2w is extremal contraction associated to R. Okay. And minus kx plus delta is phi ample because this is a extremal contraction. Okay. And we put omega equal kx plus delta for simplicity of notation. Okay. So yeah. In the case 1, dimension E equal 1. Okay. E is a curved case. In this case, let it be, we take a small ample Q divisor H on E bar. Okay. This is a smooth curve. Okay. Smooth projective curve. Okay. E bar is projective because E bar is in a fiber of P, and the dimension E equal 1 and E bar is normal, so it is a smooth projective curve. And let it be a small ample Q divisor on E bar. Then this is ample, okay? Because this is ample. So if H is very small, so this is also ample. Then this is ample by lemma 6. Okay, this one. Yeah, by this one, minus k bar plus delta is ample. This means E bar equal P1. Okay, this is the effective divisor, and E bar is a smooth projective curve. So minus k plus something is ample. So minus k is ample. So this means E bar is P1. And we get this inequality. Okay. This is almost obvious. Okay. By this. Yeah. So minus kx plus delta dot E is less than or equal to 2. 2 is 2 times dimension E. Okay. So if E is a curve, there are no difficulties. So from now on, we assume dimension E is greater than or equal to 2. Okay. In this case, we take a phi ample line band A such that a pullback is very ample. Okay. And we take general complete intersection. DI is a general member of this free linear system. This is a very ample linear system, so DI is and DI is a general member. So complete intersection curve C is a smoothly reducible curve on E bar, and C and singular locus E bar equal empty. Okay, C is a general intersection curve, and E bar is a normal variety. So C intersection singular locus E bar equal empty. Then by theorem 6, by lemma 6, we get the following inequality. Okay, C dot K bar. C is disjoint from the singular locus of E bar, so K bar is carried by the in a neighborhood of C, so we can consider the intersection number C dot K bar, and this is by definition C is this one, and DI is a general member of this one, so this is equal to this one. And by this inequality, and recall omega equal kx plus delta, we get this inequality by this one. And yeah, this is this intersection number of E. So pull back everything on E bar, we get to this equality, and this is this one, yeah, this one is numerically equivalent to C. Yeah, this is numerically equivalent to C. So we get to this one. Okay. So by Miyaoka Mori's theorem, based on the bend and break technique, for any given point of X, any given point X on C, there exists a rational curve gamma on E bar passing through X with the following estimate. Yeah, this is Miyaoka Mori. Miyaoka Mori. It depends on bend and break technique. Okay, mod B reduction and so on. So we get this inequality. Then we put L is a push forward of gamma. Gamma is a rational curve, so L is also a rational curve, and then L is a rational curve on E with the following estimate. Okay, so we get the theorem 1. Yeah, this one. This one. Okay, so therefore, adjunction formula, lemma 6 is a key result. And for adjunction formula, it is natural to use the powerful framework of Kazilov schemes. Kazilov scheme was first introduced by Florian Ambro about 20 years ago, and it is a very powerful framework to treat reducible and singular varieties caused by a minimal model program. And it's very powerful, but unfortunately, it is very technical. So in this talk, we do not treat Kazilov schemes. I just explain some example of Kazilov schemes and explain some ideas. Okay. 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 So in this talk, I do not define Kazilog schemes, but I treat examples. Roughly speaking, a Kazilog scheme is a target space of a simple normal crossing variety, with some conditions. Yeah, but this is technical. So I do not define Kazilog schemes precisely in this talk, but I explain some important examples. Okay, let X delta be a log canonical pair as usual. X is a normal variety and delta is an effective R divisor, such that Kx plus delta is R quality and satisfy discrepancy conditions. And C1.ck is any finite set of log canonical centers of X delta. Yeah, by definition, it is easy to see that there are only finitely many log canonical centers of a given log canonical pair. We take any finite set of log canonical centers. Okay. And we put W equal union of Ci with the reduced scheme structure. Okay. Then the pair Kx plus delta, X is a normal variety and this is a R-Kalte divisor, and W is a reduced but highly singular scheme, and Kx plus delta restricted W. So this is a R-Kalte divisor on W, Kazilog schemes. Okay. So picture is like this. X is a normal variety, and delta is a divisor on X. And Y is a resolution. And so delta Y is a simple normal, support of delta Y is a simple normal crossing divisor on Y. If we take resolution suitably, as usual, Ky plus delta Y equal F proof Kx plus delta. Okay. And W is a union of some LC centers. So in general, W is not necessarily equidimensional and highly singular. For example, W is a nodal curve union some surface and curve and surface and so on. In general, W is not necessarily equidimensional and highly singular. But if we take resolution suitably, then W is a target space of a simple normal crossing divisor on Y. Okay, so the W is the image of some prime divisor. Each LC center is the image of a prime divisor on Y with discrepancy coefficients -1. So the W is the union of some LC center. So on Y there exists some simple normal crossing divisor which maps to W. Okay. And the Kazilog scheme is a generalization of this picture. Okay. Kazilog scheme W is a target space of simple normal crossing divisor. So this is a typical example of Kazilog scheme, and I think Ambro introduced the notion of Kazilog schemes to treat this type of variety, some union of LC centers. Yeah, in order to study W, it is a target space of simple normal crossing divisor. So he introduced the notion of Kazilov scheme as a target space of simple normal crossing divisor with some extra assumptions. Okay, and now we can establish Kohn and contraction theorem and so on for Kazilov schemes. Okay, in the theorem one is the main theorem of this talk. Is a very, very special case of the following theorem. Yeah, x omega, omega is a R line bundle or R quality divisor, and X is a scheme, and this pair is a Kazilov scheme. So example is like this W. Yeah, example is like this. Highly singular variety with R quality divisor, and which is a target space of simple normal crossing divisor. And phi X2W is a projective morphism. So X is highly singular, so W is also highly singular in general. And minus omega is phi ample. So this is a generalization of extremal contraction. Okay, and P is any closed point of W, and E is any positive dimensional irreducible component of fiber, and E is not contained in Berry-Batt locus. Yeah, sorry, I didn't explain X minus infinity, but it corresponds to non-log canonical locus. Okay, so it is a Berry-Batt locus. Then E is covered by rational curves with following estimate. In particular, E is uniruled. Okay, so yeah, this is theorem one is a very, very special case of this theorem. Yeah, but theorem 8 is it is very difficult to explain theorem 8. So in this talk, I only explain theorem 1. Yeah. Remark. Let X delta be a log canonical pair. This is a usual log canonical pair. Then X and Kx plus delta naturally becomes a Kazilov scheme. So this is omega. Okay. And in this case, X minus infinity equal empty. Yeah. This corresponds to the non-LC locus of X delta. So in this here X delta is log canonical, so X minus infinity equal empty. Then so theorem 1 is a very special case of theorem 8. Okay. X delta is log canonical, so this pair is a Kazilov scheme, and X minus infinity equal empty, so no condition. There are no condition here. And E is covered by rational curves with this estimate. So theorem 1 follows from remark theorem 8. Okay. And we can formulate and prove adjunction formula for Kazilov schemes. It is a generalization of lemma 6. Lemma 6 is a adjunction for normal pairs. Okay, this is a key result. X delta is a log canonical pair and so on. But we can formulate this type of adjunction formula for Kazilov schemes. So X omega is a Kazilov scheme, and phi is a projective morphism, and is same formulation. And of course, the proof is much more difficult than lemma 6. Yeah. And so lemma 6 is also a very special case of adjunction formula for Kazilov schemes. Okay. Okay. anyway, in this talk, I only explain normal pairs. Okay. Okay. Let's go to the idea of the proof of lemma 6. Okay. Okay. Let's recall the setting. Phi x2w is a projective morphism as in lemma 6. Okay. X is a normal variety. And P is a point, and E is contained in a fiber of a P. And we assume W is quasi-projective, yeah, by shrinking W around P, okay? And then we can find the effective R divisor B on W such that E is an LC center of this pair, okay? So we take a general member, general effective divisor on W passing through P and pull back, yeah, we consider delta plus phi pull back B, then E is an LC center of this pair. And if we take B is a general member passing through P, then this pair is log canonical outside the fiber over P. Okay. Anyway, we can add some divisor. E is an LC center of this new pair. Okay. So picture like this. Yeah. We take B is a divisor passing through P and consider delta plus phi pullback B. Then E is a local center of this new pair. Okay, so it is sufficient to prove lemma 10. X is a normal quasi-projective variety, and delta is an effective R divisor, such that Kx plus delta is R Cartier. This is a usual setting. And X delta is not necessarily log canonical in this lemma, and is a log canonical center of X delta. Okay, and new E bar to E is a normalization, and H is an ample R divisor on E bar. Then there exists an effective divisor which depends on H, such that new pullback Kx plus delta plus H is a linear equivalent to Ke bar plus delta. Okay, so okay. So sorry. Yeah. So this delta is delta plus phi pullback B in page 18. Okay. Yeah. So let's explain the idea of the proof of lemma 6. Lemma 6 is this one. So picture is like this. X is a normal variety and is a irreducible subvariety, positive dimensional irreducible subvariety, and this is a resolution as usual, and we put delta y by this formula as usual, and in this case delta y. Yeah, this is a reduced part of delta y. Okay, delta y equal 1 means the reduced part of delta y. And so sorry. Lemma 10. Yeah. And E is a log canonical center of X delta. So there exists a simple normal crossing V, which is smaller than or equal to delta, the reduced part of delta y, and every stratum of delta, every stratum of V is dominant onto E. The picture is like this. E is a divisor, and this is a LC center of this pair X delta. And we take a suitable resolution. V is V is a simple normal V is a simple normal crossing divisor, which is less than or equal to the reduced part of this one. And yeah, the picture like this, and V maps to E. Okay, yeah, E is a log canonical center, so we can take V. Okay, and yeah, by taking resolution suitably, we have the following situation. Okay, yeah, this is the original map F V to E, and this is a normalization. Yeah, yeah, we can check V factors the normalization E bar. Yeah, if we take resolution suitably, and we put KV plus D delta V equal this one, and this is the usual adjunction formula. Okay, well, Y is a smooth variety, and V is a subdivisor of this one. So by the usual adjunction formula, we get to KV plus delta V. Okay. Then we have the following properties. First one is this is obvious. Yeah, pullback of this divisor. Yeah, pullback. This is F pullback. Pullback of pullback. Yeah, pullback is KV delta V. Okay. F is V to E. Okay. This is a divisor on V, and yeah, by definition, yeah, this is obvious. And every stratum of V is dominant onto E bar. Okay, this is also yeah, obvious by this one. Yeah, stratum means every component of V and the intersection of components. Okay. And the third one is yeah. Delta V equal the coefficient of delta V is less than or equal to 1 over the generic point of E bar. Yeah, this follows from E is LC center of this pair. Okay, so around the generic point of E, the pair X delta is log canonical. So the coefficient of delta V is less than or equal to 1. So this follows from log canonicity. And the final one, this is not trivial, but we can check this property. Push forward of this one, the rank of this one is 1. Okay, yeah, this is non-trivial. So, but we take a suitable short exact sequence and push forward and so on. We get a suitable short exact sequence, and we can check this is rank 1 C on V on E. This is a rank 1 torsion free C on E bar. Okay. This is not trivial, but this is not trivial, and this is very important. And we treat our divisors, but from now on, we assume for simplicity, delta V is a Q divisor, and this is a Q linear equivalent to this one for simplicity. Okay. In general, we take in general, delta V is an R divisor. So in that case, we take positive convex linear R linear combination of Q divisor and reduce the case where delta V is a Q divisor. But for simplicity, from now on, we assume delta V is Q divisor, and this is Q linear equivalent to this one. Okay. Then the data. This is a simple normal crossing variety divisor, and this is a simple normal crossing divisor on V to a no. This is a normal variety. The data, this map satisfying these properties 1, 2, 3, 4 is a basic SLC trivial fibrillation. Okay, and the basic trivial fibrillation is a generalization of Kodaira's canonical bundle formula. Yeah. But pictures like this. Yeah. E bar and this is V, and so the general fiber is reducible, but KV plus delta V is Q linear equivalent to pullback of something. So yeah, this is a generalization of Kodaira's canonical bundle formula. Then we can write this divisor is this one, is equal to, this is the canonical divisor of E bar, and this is the discriminant part. Discriminant part is a contribution of singular fiber of this map. And we can check this is an effective divisor, and this is the geometrical, this is a effective Q divisor. Defined by the contribution of singular fibers, and this part, sorry, this part is called the moduli part, and it is a Neff divisor. Precisely speaking, it is a push forward of Neff divisor. Then we add the ample divisor, and this is a push forward of the Neff divisor. So we take effective divisor, Q linear equivalent to this one, and this is what we want. Okay, this divisor is Q linear equivalent to this one, and this one is this one. Okay, so this is new pullback Kx plus delta plus H. Okay. Yeah, it's sufficient to explain this part, and this part depends on variation of mixed dot structure. So finally, I would like to explain basic SLC trivial fibrillation. Okay. This is a very technical generalization of Kodaira's canonical bundle formula. Okay, so the picture is like this. I'd like to treat this type of situation. X is a simple normal crossing. This is a simple normal crossing divisor variety, and B is a divisor on X. Okay, B is a Q divisor on X, and the support of B is a simple normal crossing. Yeah, simple normal crossing means each component is a simple smooth divisor and intersect everything transversally, and the intersection of the stratum is transversally, and so on. Yeah. Sorry, I omit the precise statement definition, but the support of B is very good. Okay, and I call it a simple normal crossing pair XB, and Y is a normal variety. This is a normal variety, and any stratum of X is dominant onto Y. Stratum means irreducible component of X and the intersection of irreducible components and so on. Okay, yeah, every stratum is dominant onto Y. Okay, this is an assumption. This is also an assumption, and the fiber is connected. And B is a Q divisor such that over the generic point of y, b equal b less than or equal to 1. So over the generic point of y, the quotient of b is less than or equal to 1. Okay, so this is the situation. This situation. Over the generic point, the quotient of divisor is less than or equal to 1. Okay, and there exists a q divisor d on y such that kx plus b is pullback of this one. So this is this condition. K plus something is a pullback of something. Okay, and the final one is this is non-trivial and non-trivial and mysterious condition. Push forward of this sieve. This is a torsion-free sieve on y. This is rank of this sieve is 1. Okay, this is a mysterious condition. Assumption. Then this data projective surjective morphism from a simple normal crossing pair to y is called a basic SLC trivial fibrillation. And I think that this condition is mysterious, but in applications, this condition naturally appears. So I think this is a natural one. Okay. So in this situation, we can define the discriminant QB divisor. B divisor was introduced by Sokurov, and this is a finite. This is a birational version of divisor, Q divisor, and we can define the discriminant Q divisor. Now this is a contribution from singularities of fibers of this one. Okay. Singular fiber. Contribution of singular fiber defines QB divisor, B divisor on Y. Okay. And then we can write D bar. D is this one. D bar is a Q Cartier closure of D. D, and this is a canonical B divisor, and this is a modular QB divisor, and this is a discriminant QB divisor. Okay, this is a canonical divisor, and this is this B, and this B is this one, and we define M. We define M by D bar minus K bar. Okay, this is the definition of B modular QB divisor. Okay, then this is a theorem, main theorem of basic SLC trivial fibrillation. Then K plus B, this is a canonical B divisor, and this is a discriminant, QB divisor. Then K plus B is a QB Cartier. This means after taking a birational modification of Y, on that new model, this divisor behaves well under birational pullback. Okay, and M is a modular part. This one is B potentially Neff. This means that there is a proper birational morphism from a normal variety Y prime, such that My prime is a potentially Neff. Potentially Neff means there exists a compactification of Y prime, and My prime is a restriction of Neff divisor on the compactification. Okay, and My prime is a potential Neff, and M. This is a B divisor is descent on Y prime. Okay, this is a main result on basic SLC trivial fibrillation. Okay, and when x is a smooth, then theorem, this theorem is well known. Okay, I am mainly interested in this case. X is a simple normal crossing variety, but when x is smooth, then basic SLC trivial fibrillation is known as SLC trivial fibrillation. Then this statement is well known for LC trivial fibrillation. But in theorem 12, X is a simple normal crossing variety. Yeah, this is this is the only difference between LC trivial fibrillation and LC trivial fibrillation. Okay, and yeah, theorem this theorem follows from the theory of variations mixed structure. Okay, yeah, we take a suitable covering trick and so on. M is a canonical extension of some Hodge bundle, and it is ne. Yeah. So theorem, this theorem heavily depends on deep results on variation of mixed structure. Okay. And I think that there are many applications of basic SL2BL fibrillations. And today's result, theorem 1, and more general results for theorem, this one. Yeah, this one is one of applications of basic trivial fibrillations. And yeah, there are many other interesting applications of basic SLC trivial fibrillations. And yeah, but yeah, this theorem 8 and special case is theorem 1 is one interesting application of basic SLC trivial fibrillation. Okay, yeah, I stop here. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so any questions? Do we have any questions? So this, I'll ask the question. So this last result that you were talking about, when you use this mixed VHS stuff, so it's kind of like a weak positivity for direct image kind of situation.
Sorry? Yeah.
So I'm just saying that the last this almost leftness theorem, the last theorem, yeah, for the trivial SLC family. So I mean, just from a naive point of view, it looks like a weak positivity statement for direct image. It is like that, but it's so. Do you need so for the base of that family, you assume smoothness, and you don't need quasi projectivity, do you, or you do in the definition of almost leftness? You do.
Yeah, but yeah, in definition, we do not need quasi-projectivity, but we treat B divisor. B divisor means we can freely take birational modification of this one. So it's sufficient to treat quasi-projective or projective variety Y. Yeah. Yeah, B divisor is a birational notion of divisor. So in order to, when we treat B divisor, we freely take birational modification and base change and so on. So yeah. Yeah, we are mainly treat the case Y is a smooth projective variety.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, well, if not, I thank the speaker again. Thank you very much for the great talk.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll stop recording now.